In this tutorial, we're going to review how to add images into PowerPoint to give your, just to give some multimedia effects to the presentation. So we're going to start off here on the second page. If you've been following along on this tutorial series, you'll see that we're still working with the same template that we customized. So this is kind of our own unique template that we're using now. So in order to add images, it's very easy. All you have to do is come up to Insert and then click on Pictures right here. And then we can pick out any of the pictures that we may have. I'm going to go in, let's see, go to Camera Uploads. I'm going to pick out one of a rig. And you can see it loads up the entire picture. It loads it up full size, so I'm going to want to change this up a little bit. So I'm going to shrink it just by clicking on the edges, and then I'm going to position it wherever I want. Now PowerPoint also has some really neat effects for images, so things that before you may have had to use Photoshop for or some other third-party application, you can do that right here without having to send it off to anybody else. So one of the things you can do is add a nice frame and shadow around it, and the way to do that is come up here on Picture Styles, and you can see when I added that image, it automatically took me away from the Home ribbon and took me to this Format ribbon. So I can come up here and see all of the different options, and I can hover over any of them. You can see that this would add some neat effects right to the image without me really having to do anything. One that I seem to use quite often and seems pretty popular is, let's see, not that exact one. Yeah, one like this. You see the really nice kind of reflection that gives the image. It's just something that'd be pretty difficult to do if you're doing it in Photoshop, and so, or at least for a novice Photoshop user, and this does it automatically. If you hover over each one of these items, you can see a blur effect, a traditional frame, a thick frame and a shadow, a regular frame with a small shadow, circular kind of shape with another drop shadow, another frame. For this one, I think we're gonna go with this one. So this is called the snip diagonal, and you can see that it gives a really neat kind of unique effect that goes along with kind of the theme we're going for. So I'm going to actually make this a little bit bigger, and there you go, we have a great looking image. Some of the other things you can do, of course, you can play around with these until you're familiar with them, but you have all of your arrangement items right here. So say that you wanted to put a text title on this. We'll go and add a text box, and we'll say this is my rig, and click the edge. When you want to move anything or any piece of text, make sure you don't click the center, or else you're not going to be able to move it. That just highlights it. Hover over the edge until you see this little move cursor come on. Click on that and then drag it right up here. And so we're going to give this a little bit bigger size. So we'll go with like 28, and bold, no, not bold, shadow, yes. Okay, so we got that. Maybe slightly bigger. There you go. Okay, so you have this nice little rig title, and because my rig is not an actual word, I'm gonna right click on it, hit ignore all, and that takes away the red underline. That wouldn't show up when you're showing the PowerPoint, so you don't have to worry about it, but still, it's just, those annoy me, so I took it away. Now, to arrange things, so say that you created this rig title before you put the picture on. What's going to happen, because PowerPoint uses a cascade, meaning that it puts one layer on top of another layer, what would happen is this my rig text would actually be behind it. So it'd be something like this. So it'd be there, but it's behind it, so it's pointless. So to change that, you'd click on the image, come up to Format, and then just click Send Backward. And actually, we want to send it all the way back. So hit send to back, and there you go. So the text never left, it was just behind the image. And so that's a good way, it's a good thing. You need to be able to know how to arrange those, because there's a lot of times you may put on 4 or 5 different layers onto one page, and you need to be able to quickly know to bring it forward, send it back. If you bring forward, it sends it forward one level. If you click on this little arrow, it'll bring it all the way to the front. So if I click that on the rig, you'd see that it sent it all the way to the front. I could send backward, and you could see that sent it back one layer, which would mean it sent it behind this one, which doesn't even matter. And then I want to do it again, and you just keep going, and then there it is. So that's how you can customize that. Some of the other things you can do is you can make some slight corrections to the image. So if I click on corrections up here, and this is under the format tab again, this is where you can control some blur, some brightness things. So if you have an image that's too bright, you can darken it up. If you have one that's too dark, you can lighten it up. These are okay. I personally usually will prefer to put it in Photoshop or something else. But say you want to create almost a kind of a background image effect. You see that without me doing anything else except just changing that format option, now you have something that's a little bit darker. My rig, the title, stands out more and has more of an artistic effect. So that's another thing you can play around with. You can also do true artistic effects. These are ones that you definitely usually would use Photoshop for, but if you hover over each of them, you can see you could add a texture of cement to it. You could make it look like brush strokes, chrome. You can add all of these different items. For this one, I don't think we're going to use any of them, so we're just going to move away from it. And there you go. So that's how you can add images and how you can format those quickly and easily in PowerPoint.